Welcome, everybody, and listen, what did I say? Get them back Thursday. That's what the Fever did. And while it wasn't pretty, I know a great poet that once said,
"It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning."
And he ain't wrong. But first off, before we dive into all this stuff, I'm going to do a new segment that I call Off My Chest. Because there's just things I want to get off my chest, get off the negativity before we talk about the good. WNBA refs, you suck. Your whistle is inconsistent. You make it hard for the players to play the game. You make it hard for the fans to watch the game. You can do better. The WNBA is apparently hiring people to watch over you and help you perform, and you need it. Because I want to watch a good game, and the players need to know that if you're going to let them play and let them play physical, that all of a sudden when Aaliyah Boston breathes on a player and you instantly call a foul on her, she needs to be able to know that that's not going to happen to her. Aaliyah Boston's been targeted enough in this league, and I'm over it. Get it together. And speaking of get it together, Rhyne Howard. I mean, congratulations on having a good game. You shot under 30% for your first two games. Don't get pissy at Caitlin Clark. Don't call for a matchup and then immediately get burned. It's embarrassing. And for as good as you played, you weren't even the best Howard in the arena. And speaking of that, we'll go to the good, which is Natasha Howard. Thank you for showing up, showing what I believed you could be. And there were many people that talked about the final play of the previous matchup and how, Clark should have had the ball in her hands and why is she inbounding and all these things. And the reality is in this game, would you have wanted the ball in Clark's hands? 0 for 5 from 3 Clark? I mean, maybe she distributes and you have what was similar to the game-winning play between her and Aaliyah Boston. But if you told me that last game, granted, Howard was having a rough night, but if you told me this Natasha Howard, would get one shot on goal under the basket and then a wide open jumper, 2 shots in under 10 seconds, I would have took that. I would have called that a good play, a good attempt. And sometimes the ball doesn't fall, but you shouldn't hold it against a player. And I'm happy that T was able to have the team support her, bring her confidence back. The coaches supported her. She was able to get out of her own head, and she was able to perform. She scored at every level. She filled in for Aaliyah Boston when Aaliyah Boston was in foul trouble. And I can't give her more props for this game. It was just a blip. And that leads me to the next part of the good of this game, which is that if the big three are having a quieter night, if they're struggling, the team has depth and players that can step up, take over, perform, and we can grind out these ugly games. You got to be able to win the ugly games as well as you can win the blowouts. Because the ugly games are just going to happen. Players are going to have off nights. It happens. I don't think anyone had on their bingo card that Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark were going to go 1 for 11 from the 3-point line. Maybe Kelsey Mitchell was jinxed because I saw a Reddit thread about how she was the most efficient 3-point shooter in the WNBA. And Caitlin Clark, after the previous game, she puts up 27. She's making 5 for 11, whatever. And she lays a goose egg. And the fact that, Aaliyah Boston's in foul trouble, and then you have Natasha Howard that steps up. And the next people I'd like to talk about, Sophie Cunningham. Thank goodness Sophie Cunningham is back. And she's in the lineup. And I didn't know what we were going to get because when you come back, not being able to fully practice, having an injury, you don't know how impactful that player will be. And Sophie was as impactful as we could have hoped for in this game. And one of the main reasons that we won this game. She was able to facilitate the offense when Clark was out. She was, she was making 3-pointers when we needed 3-pointers to happen. Overall, I think that Sophie Cunningham, she gives us energy on defense. She's just a spark plug for the team, and you need those kinds of players, especially in difficult, ugly games like this. And then, of course, Lexie Hull. I think that last year, Lexie Hull was the fan favorite, darling child that, worked her way up, kind of got into the starting lineup, and did it through hustle and tenacity, and started to find her shot down the road, and had a really crazy like 3-point percentage. It was like in the 40s. But I think the biggest thing that I've seen from her this year is all of that, but now she has a new type of confidence. She's taking shots that she never would have taken before. Before, she seemed like a player that was like, okay, if I'm in my spot, I'll take my shot, or if I can get the pass from Caitlin, I'll take that shot, but I'm not going to create another shot. And in this game, there are multiple instances where she is taking shots that she normally wouldn't have last year. She's doing bank shots, she's doing off balance shots that are going in. And the reason I think that she has that confidence is because of Unrivaled. As much as people may not have wanted to watch Unrivaled, it was a great ground, I think, for championship Lexie Hull to gain confidence and gain more of a shot for herself. And I think this has elevated her to the point where she's a real starter, I think, in the WNBA, or at least in this team. She is going to get a lot of minutes, and she deserves a lot of minutes because she plays good defense. She plays with hustle. She's very positive and communicative. Like, she's handing out high fives. She's keeping the mental up when you could easily fall down in a game. And the team's crediting her with that. They're noticing it, and it's hard for me to not gush more about someone that also, when our 3-point shooters aren't making threes, she's 2 for 2. The last piece that I want to shout out as good is that Stephanie White did a good job of adjusting. She, as far as when it comes to stopping the interior, which was a huge problem for us last time, Brianna Jones scored at will. Brittany Griner was a problem, capital P problem. But in this game, held them to 20 points combined. They shot 30%. Griner had 3 turnovers. And you could see that one of the great adjustments was using Dantas to fill in for Aaliyah Boston, who had foul trouble, which was one of the worst case scenarios. Because while Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner could have the height, have to weigh on her. You have to have weight to battle with her. You can't just be 6'4" and have long arms and hope that you confront her. You have to be able to hold position. And part of that is Dantas is 6'4", but also has the weight like Aaliyah Boston and muscle to be able to battle. Like the previous game, they didn't have the consistent player that they could just feed and get points off of, which is huge. So with all that said, great adjustments from Stephanie White and staff. There's always room for improvement. This team is always gelling and figuring itself out. Again, WNBA preseasons are short. Like you don't have a lot of time to practice and gel before you get into the season. And this team is only going to get better and better and better. And they have a very tough matchup coming up against the Liberty on Saturday. Liberty look like arguably the best team in the league, up there with the Lynx. I think that they're 2. Lynx are probably 1. They just trounced the Sky, although so did we. And I think that they are beatable. The Fever could have an excellent game. They could get the momentum. They could get the crowd on their side. But expectation setting, it's going to be a tough game. So I think that really this is more of a good setup for the Fever, because Fever have been in a position where they didn't expect to be necessarily, where they were going into all these games. They're going to Atlanta as the favorite. And I think that having that pressure of being the favorite can be tough. And every team, because of the notoriety of the Fever, is going to play them like it's a playoff game. It happened last year with Caitlin Clark. It's going to happen this year with an even better squad. So every game you're going to be played as hard as possible, which in the WNBA, believe it or not, used to not be a thing. Like there were teams that would, take games off, especially later in the season if things were locked up. But they were kind of lazy games, and you wouldn't get pressed until the playoffs. Now, Paige Beckers is getting blitzed, Caitlin Clark's getting blitzed, everybody's blitzing, everybody's trying as hard as they can, which I love to see. I love to see good basketball. I love to see teams trying and giving each other new looks and all that stuff. So with all that said, the last thing I would like to say is thank you to that Atlanta fan for this gift, because I'm sorry. It's so fitting for this game to reflect back at you, but also I'm going to get a good use out of this for the rest of the WNBA season. So thank you for that, stranger, whoever you may be. And with that, I'll say leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the game. What were your highlights for the game? Like, subscribe, and last but not least, remember, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. I'll catch you next episode.
Bow, bow, bow. Appreciate it. Thank you.